When I was 16 years old, I traveled on a supposed pilgrimage to the land of Israel. I'm not a very religious guy, but hey, I'd never left the country before. Free trip to the Middle East, good scenes, good culture, you know, the usual. As with any 16-year-old that's good at his job, I engaged in the pastime of subversive activity. The usual bit of sneaking cigarettes and underage drinking was second only to meeting my very first love, Vanya. Vanya and I first kissed in a large Bedouin tent at the foot of Mount Masada. Following a night of passion, we hiked up the side of the mountain at sunrise. By the time I was headed back to America, we had skinny dipped in the Galilee, floated in the Dead Sea, partied in the Tanya and Eilat, and hiked through most of the worthy caverns and crevices of one of the most controversial and beautiful countries in human history. After the trip, we played a charming 6-month game of puppy love American phone tag. And that December, I visited her in the most romantic borough of New York City, Staten Island. Every day was a new adventure for us on the New York subway. The Met, Astor Place, Central Park, Greenwich Village, all I could see of New York in 1 week. I kissed her face and returned to Texas with plans of return. And plan I did. It takes a while to save up enough scratch for a trip to NYC when you're 16, but it can be done. 6 months later, I was back in the Big Apple, this time for a 3-week stretch in the middle of summer. Only this time, to quote Tracy Chapman, if you will, the thrill was gone. No love left in her eyes. It took about 3 or 4 days for me to really notice, but over those first few days, my throat had started to swell in a way that it was a bit tender on the outside and scratchy on the inside. And on the 4th day of the trip, she invited me out to Coney Island with her friends and family for a day at the beach. The trip to the beach was fine, if you can call it that, but something unfortunate happened on the way back. I was feeling sicker and sicker by the day, and I was, and still am, susceptible to motion sickness. The throat issue was worsening, and I could barely stay awake, so I took a moment to lie down on her leg in the back seat of the car. This close-up view of my head gave her the unique opportunity to discover that I had somehow contracted lice. Now I had this gorgeous, unkempt lines made of hair at the time. It had to go. The whole damn thing. Next thing I knew, I was in an Atlantic City barbershop getting my head buzzed, then in a shower back on Staten Island with lice soap and shampoo. I wandered out of the bathroom with a buzzed skull, and somebody promptly plopped a bag on my head to catch any stray lice. I still remember seeing her gorgeous face with that look of, I'm really about to hurt you, just boring holes in my skin. That was when she finally told me that she had been seeing some older guy and still wanted to be friends. And captured forever in photographic history was the next moment, one in which I stand with a red-faced look of heartbreak, a plastic bag on my head, a swollen throat, and tears on my cheeks. Needless to say, it was a hot, filthy, depressing remainder of the trip wandering through the streets of New York, and when it was finally over, I was never happier to be back in Texas.